Welcome to Album Reviews and You. I'm Will, your host, and today we're looking at Sly and the Family Stones' There's a Riot Going On. If you only know Sly from his hits Dance to the Music, Everyday People, I Want to Take You Higher, then Riot will hit you like a bucket of bong water to the face. The sunshine's gone, the tie-dyed's faded, the cocaine is plentiful. This isn't the sound of a band throwing a party. It's the sound of one man locking the doors, unplugging the phone, and overdubbing himself into a drug-soaked cocoon of paranoia. Everything about this album is wrong in the best way. The drums sound like cardboard boxes mixed with metronomes. The vocals are buried under tape hiss so thick you want to clean out your speakers. The horns pop in and out like they're being played from the apartment next door, and somehow, it's one of the greatest albums of all time. Funk has never been so warped, so paranoid, so claustrophobic, and so damn fascinating. This isn't a record you put on to get pumped up before a night out. This is a record you put on when the night's already over. The lights are too bright, and you can hear your own heart beating in the silence. Alright, side one kicks off with Love and Hate. And what do we have here? We have wah pedal, and guess what? More wah pedal. If you thought Hendrix had cornered the market on wah abuse, nope. Sly brought the whole damn factory and hired 5 stone interns to sit there stomping on pedals until the end of time. Underneath, the bass rumbles like distant thunderstorms and the background singers swoop in with ghostly ahs. This ain't no Dance to the Music party. This is, I'm staying on the couch because gravity feels extra heavy today. And then the refrain hits. Feels so good, don't wanna move. Relatable. That's the sound of a man with 5 joints, a 6-pack of Schlitz, and absolutely zero desire to get off the carpet. The horns try to elevate things with some take me higher kind of swells, but the wah just chases its own tail in circles, making you dizzy like when you're watching your cat chase the red laser pointer for 6 hours straight. And holy hell, if Sly really is on drums here, he's not just keeping time, he's bending it into pretzels. The beats wobble between a funk shuffle and a Mitch Mitchell acid jazz meltdown. Sometimes it's loose, sometimes it's tight, sometimes you wonder if the tape is melting. It's woozy, swampy, and messy. But it's the kind of mess you want to sink into like quicksand. Very funky quicksand. Alright, track 2, Just Like a Baby. This one's slinky, sweet, and honestly a little creepy. The layered keyboards are smooth enough to butter your pancakes, and Sly croons like he's lying flat on his back in the studio, which, if the story's true, he literally was. It's less a vocal take and more man refuses to sit upright while confessing his feelings on tape. He sings, I cry sometimes, just like a baby. And you believe him. He probably cried, recorded it, overdubbed himself crying in harmony, and then cried some more because the cry mix wasn't EQ'd right. The bass pulses along steady and low, like it's sneaking around the apartment so it doesn't wake the neighbors or something. Bet a fried chicken dinner Larry Graham actually played on this one. Then the bridge, if you can call it that, drops in. Sly moaning like a lovesick ghost drifting through outer space. Another Sly growling like the demon haunting his bloodstream after 2 weeks of nonstop coke. Both fighting for attention in your speakers, fading in and out of the mix. It's like good Sly versus evil Sly, except both of them are pretty messed up, and neither is winning. Add the glorious hiss of the tape, the sloppy punch-ins, and the unpolished grit. Basically feel like you're high right along with them. This isn't baby making music. It's you woke up at 3 a.m., the TV's snowing, and you're too paranoid to turn the lights on music. Alright, next up is Poet. Finally, some actual live drums. For about 3 seconds. And then the Rhythm King drum machine stomps in, trying to outgroove the humans. And a funky clavinet wiggles around it like it just snuck out of a Stevie Wonder session. Sly declares his only weapon is his pen, which is ironic because at this point his only real weapon was clearly locking himself in the studio and terrifying his bandmates until they quit. The bass wanders around like it's drunk, the guitar sneaks in with chicken scratch licks, and suddenly your head's bopping before you even know it. Is that Bobby Womack? Ike Turner? Billy Preston? Miles Davis wandering in after mistaking the studio for a liquor store? Nobody knows. Honestly, half the Family Stone probably didn't even show up. This record is more of a Sly solo project with random cameos than a group effort. But those keyboards, my God, those keyboards. They bounce left to right across your skull, darting in and out like a mischievous kid playing hide and seek. The drum machine keeps a rigid pulse while the live drums slink underneath. like two kids trying to push each other over a seesaw. The result? Funky chaos that somehow works, like duct taping a jazz band to an 808 drum machine, or Rhythm King in this case. Up next, Family Affair. The hit, the giant, the last time Sly & Company topped the US charts. Family Affair sounds like no other Family Stone track, which might be why it worked. Instead of horns and live funk, good vibes, you get a drum machine clicking along like an old typewriter, an electric piano playing the simplest chords imaginable, and Sly muttering like he's giving you confidential life advice over a payphone. Rosie floats in with airy, far-off vocals like she's recorded her part from the apartment next door with the horn players. It shouldn't work, but oh man, it does. There's this small, sweet guitar-keyboard exchange before the second verse that lasts about 4 or 5 seconds. It's like finding a flower growing in a crack in the sidewalk. And then Sly comes back in, voice strained and heavy, sounding both completely exhausted and completely committed. The closer, that scream, that half-restrained, half-feral scream, it's primal, like he just stubbed his toe on the truth. It rattles the song to its bones. The whole track is deceptively minimal, but it's one of those rare cases where less is more. This isn't just a cop-out, it's genius. Okay, Africa talks to you. Asphalt Jungle. This one is long. How long? Long enough that your beer gets warm before it's over. Long enough that you check your turntable to make sure it's not stuck. Long enough to make you wonder if maybe Sly forgot to stop recording and just left the machine running while he went to the bathroom. Starts with drum machine blips and warm bass thumps before real hi-hats and snare creep in. Then wah, more wah, infinite wah, always wah. Vocals come in layered like a gospel choir on acid. Falsetto Sly, guttural Sly, background men and women chanting, and everyone screaming, "Timber!" like a lumberjack convention in hell. Here's the thing. It's repetitive, it's indulgent, and it's absolutely necessary. Cutting this track would be like cutting the end off the Doors or the last 6 minutes off Hey Jude. You don't trim the madness. The madness is the point. Each time you think it's too much, another weird layer enters. Wad out guitar lines, moaning, scatting, muttering, and suddenly you're lost in the asphalt jungle yourself. This is the track that proves Riot isn't just an album, it's a trip. Not a fun trip, not a grab your tie-dye trip, more like you took the wrong pill and now you're staring at the wallpaper for 6 hours kind of trip, and yet you can't look away. Okay, last track, side 1, There's a Riot Going On, the title track. Ha! Fooled you. It's silence. A few seconds of glorious nothing. Is it a joke, a statement, broken tape? Nobody knows. Sly basically shrugging and saying, "You wanted a title track? Here you go." Crickets chirping. Is it genius? Trolling? Both, yes. Okay, here we are. Side 2 kicks off, and okay, I'll be honest, it's not exactly a fireworks show. The bass comes in, it's thick and thumpy, the drum machine ticks away like it's fighting for its life, and live drums show up to slap on some humanity finally, then horns. But not the glorious, punch-you-in-the-gut Family Stone horns of yesteryear. These are awkward little stabs that feel like they wandered in from a B-side James Brown rehearsal tape, and they decided to stay for lunch. It's got energy, but not the right kind. The groove wants to be uplifting, but the mix and arrangement kind of sag under their own weight. Instead of soaring, the horns just kind of poke you, like an annoying little sibling tapping you on the shoulder. Compared to the paranoid genius elsewhere on the album, this one just sort of plods. That said, it's not a total disaster. The rhythm section's still funky, Sly delivery has bite, and the song has enough muscle to get your head nodding. It's just the one time on Riot where you think, that was fine, I guess. If Riot is a drug trip, this is the part where you're just staring at the carpet, waiting for something interesting to happen. Next up, You Caught Me Smiling. Now we're back in business. This one slinks in on some breezy guitar and keyboard interplay that feels like the band is finally cracking a smile after all that gloom. The chorus is so smooth and mellow, you almost expect it to dissolve into a Seals and Crofts song. But don't get too comfortable, this is Sly. And you know he's going to yank the rug out sooner or later. And sure enough, the bridge hits, and suddenly you're in a nasty funk territory. Wah pedals screech, bass licks twist in your face into the stank funk grimace. And Sly lets loose with the kind of screams that make you check your windows to see if the neighbors are worried. It's like falling asleep on a hammock and waking up in the middle of a mosh pit. The beauty of the track is the whiplash. 1 minute you're floating on pillows of harmony, The next, you're slammed into sweaty, sticky funk. Then back again. Then back again. It's chaotic, but it works. Like a funhouse mirror version of Sly Singles. By the end, you're not sure whether to pour yourself a drink or take a nap. Maybe both. Alright, next up is time. Time slows everything down to a crawl, and for good reason. The drum machine ticks like a pocket watch, quiet and steady in the background, while the bluesy groove drags forward like it's carrying a boulder uphill. Sly's vocals are shoved right up in your face, urgent, raw, practically spitting in your ear. It's one of the few times on the album where you feel like he's actually begging you to listen, not just messing with overdubs for his own amusement. Lyrically, it's Sly staring right into the void. He's obsessed with time, how it passes, how it traps you, how it won't stop no matter what. His delivery is jagged, almost out of time with the beat itself, as if he's fighting against the flow. Every growl, every strained syllable feels like he's trying to claw his way out of reality. Then there's the fade. It doesn't end so much as evaporates. You're left hanging, unsettled, like someone cut the power off mid-sentence. It's haunting because for a few minutes, you've been dragged into Sly's headspace. It's not a place you want to stay for long, but you can't look away either. Alright, next up, Spaced Cowboy. This one is pure weirdness, and I mean that in the best way. It starts innocently enough, the deep bass groove, drums pushing it along, keyboards swirling in that familiar Riot haze. You think, okay, more funky paranoia, I'm ready. And then out of nowhere, the yodel. The spaced out, intergalactic yodeling that either makes you laugh out loud or clap your hands in awe, or both. The yodel keeps coming back like a stubborn echo, weaving in with Sly's whispers and mutters. It's absurd, but in context, it totally fits. This whole album is Sly breaking apart at the seams, so why wouldn't he decide to drop a cowboy yodel in the middle of an otherwise straight funk jam? It's like a prank call from space. And then comes the harmonica, which somehow ties it back to classic Sly and the Family Stone territory. It's soulful, playful, and just when you think the song might spin out completely, he reins you back in. Until the yodel returns, of course, and then you're off the rails again. Love it or hate it, Space Cowboy is the sound of a genius refusing to give a damn what you think. And honestly, that makes him brilliant. Okay, next up, Running Away. Finally, a breather. Cynthia Robinson's French horn takes a spotlight here, and it's a refreshing change of pace. The line has sort of a TV theme song vibe to it. It's playful and bright, almost like something you'd hear before a sitcom. Rosie's vocals glide in smoothly, giving it a lighter, breezier feel than most of the album. It's like the clouds part for 3 minutes and the sun sneaks through. The bridge here, though, is especially gorgeous, layered with horn harmonies and call-and-response vocals weaving together in a way that feels joyful, even triumphant. And then the full-on horn solo arrives, and it's funky, full, and unapologetically brassy. If the rest of the Riot feels like stumbling through a druggy haze, this track is the part where you remember life can actually be fun sometimes. That said, it's still got the grit of the album. The bass and drums are live, heavy, and locked tight. You can almost picture Larry Graham's thumb bleeding on the strings. It's one of the few moments on Riot where Sly lets the funk feel alive again instead of buried in paranoia, and it's beautiful for that. Okay, we made it. Here we are. Thank you for talking to me, Africa. The closer, the monster, the evil doppelganger of thank you for letting me be myself again. Everything familiar about the original hit has been slowed, warped, dragged through a swamp of tape hiss. The bass doesn't just play, it stomps, relentless and crushing. The guitars flicker in and out like ghosts, and the vocals are stacked layer upon layer until it sounds less like singing and more like a seance. The repetition is the point. The chorus drones in and out, Sly screams from the abyss. The drums keep trudging forward like a giant with cement shoes. It's hypnotic, suffocating, and weirdly comforting. Like falling asleep under a heavy blanket you're not sure you can crawl out from. Then comes the kicker. After nearly 10 minutes of this slow-motion funk apocalypse, Sly delivers the line, "Dying young is hard to take. Selling out is harder." Boom. That's the entire album in one couplet. Despair, conviction, and a refusal to compromise, even when he's falling apart. It's a chilling, perfect ending to one of the strangest, boldest albums ever made. What a great album. There's Riot Goin On is messy, paranoid, hissy, repetitive, and sometimes straight up unpleasant, but it's also raw genius. This is the sound of Sly tearing down the happy facade, locking himself in the studio and bearing every cracked, drug-damaged nerve. Funk's never been this dark before, and it never really got this dark again. It's not fun. It's not uplifting, but it is essential. One of the weirdest, ugliest, and greatest albums ever made. Alright, thanks for hanging out and listening to me ramble about Sly's wah pedals, yodels, and tape hiss like they're the holy trinity of funk. If you dug this, pound that like button like Larry Graham thumping a bass. Drop a comment so I know I'm just not shouting into the void, and hit subscribe so you don't miss the time I get unreasonably excited about a record that came out 50 years ago. Share it with your music nerd friends or even your enemies, honestly. I don't care as long as somebody listens. See you next time.